know we on the spot. I said we on the spot, on the spot, on the spotlight. Yeah,
102.3 KJLH Compton, Los Angeles.
Joining us now in studio, we have a Native American Cherokee actress from the state of Texas, the first indigenous Native American woman to be considered for an Emmy Award, The Independence of Eddie Rose, Death of a Minor, God of Vengeance, and many, many more projects. Sheri Foster, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. And I was considered for the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and that's a Netflix series with Tina Fey and Robert Carlock.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And I'm one of these people that notices, like, okay, I'm always hashtag Oscars so white, you know, where are the black people, where are the black people? But then we say, if I was Native American, Arab American, I would be, you know, really, or Asian American, really.
Right.
I would be going, oh my, really?
Well, we're 2%. So to be on a show right now is a dream come true for Gail Birmingham is also on the show, but now we're starting to have our voices be heard. You know, it's in the grapevine that there's other shows that are going to be coming up with Native talent, and hopefully soon we'll be able to tell our own stories, because that's what it's about. You know, so we can have our own voice. You know, have our own stories written by Native American writers.
Has to be, and I feel like as African Americans, we have to be in solidarity with that.
Right,
it's part of our job, because we know how to do this.
Right, we live it. We live it. I mean, we've gotten a lot of help from, non-natives, from the Europeans, but, it's time for us to tell our stories in our voice. So, or our narrative that's the new word, is narrative. So, yeah, we're getting there. So thank you so much for having us on.
Well, congratulations. We're going to be watching you.
You know we on the spot.
And Ashley Sparks is with us. She's a theater maker, engagement strategist, facilitator, curator, and producer. She's worked across the nation, Cornerstone Theater Company in Los Angeles, Art Spot Productions in New Orleans, and much, much more. Ashley Sparks, welcome.
Good morning.
I was reading your bio last night, and I said, engagement strategist. I don't know what that is, but I think I need it.
So part of what I do as a theater director and as an artist and an activist is I think about who is a particular audience that people want to develop more of an authentic relationship with. And so as an artist, I'm trying to draw the links between what people make and then how is that actually going to create transformation in a community.
So actually having impact with what we do rather than just doing it and being cool with that.
Right.
I said it.
Yeah.
No one heard it, but I said it.
And for me, this weekend, this performance is one of those examples of like, okay, so we're making a play. That's great. And how are we moving people towards action? So so it's not just another town hall where we all say a bunch of stuff and nothing actually comes out of it.
No. But so that there's actual action attached to it. Mm-hmm. And you're talking about the conversation, the performance, I guess this weekend, which is White People for Black Lives and Black Lives Matter. It's a benefit for Black Lives Matter. It's going on at the McCarty Memorial Church on Saturday. Starts at 6 p.m. There's a reception, 7:30. There's a performance. And so you're working on putting this show together and making sure that it has an impact in the moment and beyond.
Yeah, so the performance is the actors are a combination of social justice movement leaders, including folks like Patrisse Cullors and Melina Abdullah from Black Lives Matter, as well as these two actors who are here with us in the studio today. And the performance itself is going to build. So we start with the history from like 1592 of the initial colonizing of the United States and build to now, into 2017, and Patrisse is going to speak. And one of the big campaigns that Black Lives Matter is working on right now is around asking Mayor Garcetti to fire Chief Beck. And so as part of the performance, we're going to do an action to honor the 153 people who've been killed by police brutality over the last 8 to 10 years to help build momentum towards that particular campaign.
And I'm going to leave that there because me and Dr. Abdullah have an ongoing dialogue about that and other issues, which everyone that listens to the show on a regular basis is familiar with. I wish there was a way we could get our president to watch this show. I see you're closing with Frederick Douglass, a man who's doing a lot right now. According to the president, he's really getting a lot
He's
of
really
props
making a
these
comeback.
days. Yeah, he's making a comeback.
You know, we on the spot.
Sheri Foster Blake, I see you're doing Chief Joseph Washington's speech.
Yes.
You want to talk about that, what
Well,
that is and why that's important to you?
Well, it's so important because he talks about how it's one of the most eloquent speeches I think that's it's ever been written or said. And he talks about how essentially he was told one thing and other things happened. You know, I could read some of it for you so you'll get a sense of it. Just in the first couple of lines of his speech, he says, "At last I was granted permission to come to Washington and bring my friend Yellow Bull and our interpreter with me. I'm glad I came. I have shaken hands with many good friends, but there are some things I want to know which no one seems able to explain. I cannot understand how the government sends a man out to fight us, as it did General Miles, and then breaks his word. Such a government has something wrong about it. I cannot understand why so many chiefs are allowed to talk so many different ways and promises so many different things." So this is just the beginning, and this is kind of what we see now, what's going on as we're bringing it forward, as we're bringing this story forward in 2017, how the government says one thing and does another. But it goes on to say, "I've seen the great Father Chief and so many other law chiefs that they all say they are my friends and that I shall have justice. But while all their mouths talk, right, I do not understand why nothing is done for my people. I have heard talk and talk, but nothing is done." So that's just the beginning of Chief Joseph's speech to the government and to the people in Washington when he arrives. And it goes on to talk about how, you know, there's been an injustice and why can't we just be people? We're all under the same spirit. We all have the same God, or we call him the Great Spirit. And how come we all can't just get along together and we're all as one? What's good for one man should be good for the other man. What's good for the white man should be good for the brown man or the black man.
You know, we on the spot.
Sheri Foster, Ashley Sparks, and Matt McGorry, you know, as people who are not black, you know, you're indigenous. I'm assuming that you're European American just by looking at you, stereotyping you as
Totally just a white lady.
and Matt McGorry, why is it important for you personally each to support Black Lives Matter in this way?
For me, it's because we're one people. We're people of color, and we all have the same. We've all come from the same places. Look what's happened to, you know, just this year with in South Dakota with the water situation with the pipeline.
Yeah.
You know, we were speaking up for that, and we were shot down. What's going on with the police and what the injustice that's going on with the black folks with the police, and then you take that forward to what's going on in the NFL right now. Taking a knee does not have anything about our flag. It's about the injustice, and that's getting blown out into a whole different realm, you know, by the government. So we have to stand together. I think people of color do need to stand together, and we always have.
So ironic you say that, and also by the team owners. I mean, you've got the Cowboys owners saying,
I know he said
guys that take a knee don't get to play. What about you, Ashley? Why is this important for you?
So I'm Southern. I grew up in Virginia and lived in North Carolina and New Orleans a long time. And so there's something in my own personal history that requires me to like show up and disrupt the systems that my people created. And so I don't have an option. And this particular performance for me, one of the reasons it's important is because it's looking at the legacy of white supremacy and the history of like where white people have consistently destroyed and committed genocide against many peoples of color. And how do we sit with that, own it, in order to heal from it? That we have, as a country, we have to talk about these things in order to move forward. And so I don't have an option to be quiet. And as a theater director, this is the tool I have. Like, let's make a play and tell some stories rather than doing many other things. Yeah. These are my talents.
When I first got on the radio, I remember started on TV. I remember calling my producer and going, "You know what? I think I'm losing opportunities because I'm too outspoken and radical on the mic. And what am I going to do?" And he goes, "Well, what's your option? Are you going to be someone else?" I was like, "Oh yeah, thanks. Bye." Put it in perspective. Now that you put it that way.
You know, we on the spot.
For you, Matt McGorry, why black people, white people for Black Lives, and the show, by the way, which is Saturday in the community, and everyone is invited.
Yeah, I think what the taking a knee has been co-opted to represent, right? Like we're seeing a long part of the history of co-optation of narratives that has happened all along, right? And that is how history is written by the quote unquote winners, right? And so for me, it's about actually looking at, what are the people that really caused the change, right? I grew up learning that Abraham Lincoln was the one who, freed the slaves, right? But the truth is that there were so many people who were enslaved that had rebellions, like Nat Turner and these folks, and John Brown, who was also
you're performing John Brown, right, this weekend?
Who I'm reading his testimony before his execution by the government before they legally declared a civil war. And so learning about that narrative and seeing now that the power of narratives, it is so important, and that is why people like the vice president, decide to try and shift it, because how people think is about how people act, and how people act is about how people get free. And I think for me, I do feel quite strongly that my liberation, my humanity is tied up in the liberation of indigenous people and people of color and black folks and all sorts of marginalized communities. And I think that this event is an important refocusing of, the power that individual people have, that normal everyday folks have, to be able to create this change, and not to be sort of have the wool pulled over our eyes about, the fact that it's only, great and white men that, do these things throughout history, that individual people taking a stand adds up to collective action. And there's a long, worn path of white anti-racism that needs to sort of, I think, be uplifted, so that people know, as white folks, that there are other options, right, than being directly oppressive or silently complicit. We can be in solidarity, and I think that our humanity depends on it.
You know, we on the spot.
Ashley, who's on this bill? You've got quite a lineup.
Yeah, so Patrisse Cullors, one of the co-founders of BLM, along with Melina Abdullah and Kenyatta Bakir. So we've got three folks who are core to Black Lives Matters who are performing. Sahar Prezada, who's from a group called Vigilant Love, which is working to dismantle Islamophobia. And Tracy Kato Kiriyama also works with Vigilant Love, but Tracy has been a long-time activist, organizer, performer in the Japanese American community. And then Robert Wisdom from currently Netflix Flaked, but was also on The Wire. And so he's going to be reading Malcolm X and Henry McNeil Turner. Bellamy Young from ABC's Scandal. So, and she's also has all this Broadway credit. So
she plays the first lady.
Yeah,
for all the Scandal watchers.
Yeah, she's terrific. Fantastic.
Yeah, she's great.
And so hopefully we might actually hear her singing a little bit.
I think it'd be great if she broke out in song.
And Bambi Salcido, who's a trans activist and organizer, who is just this powerhouse of a human, is going to be one of our co-hosts for the night.
So it's an incredible lineup, and I just want a little tiny editorialize here, which is, we talk a lot about on this show about how other communities don't stand up for us, so why should we stand up for them? And here we have, trans activists, Asian American, Native American, Latino, white or European American people doing a benefit for Black Lives Matter. So if you want to change that conversation, that talking point, let's change that talking point, because I think that serves us more to understand that there is momentum for people coming together and working together for change, for the right thing, regardless of what that issue might be on that day. benefit for Black Lives Matter, Courage Against Racism. Thank you all so very much for being here. Till next time, Radio Free Family, one love.
102.3 KJLH Compton, Los Angeles. KJLHradio.com.
You know we on the spot.
If you want to do like a 10-second last word.
I just want
Sheri
to
Foster.
give a shout out to everyone to come and join us, and so we can be one voice with with everybody. I mean, with all of our European friends, with all of our brown, black, just all let's come together as one, and I think that's a good start.
Well
right
said.
here in LA.
Ashley Sparks, you want to add anything to that?
I'm just grateful for the talent that's come together.
Amazing.
At this point. Yeah.
Matt McGorry?
I'm grateful for everyone that's put in the amazingly hard work on this, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity to really build community and to feel the power of the people.
All right, family, time to pass the mic to Steve Harvey. As you go on your way about your day, let's take a moment to affirm ourselves. Let's take that deep breath in and let us release. Today, let me remember, in the words of Kwame Nkrumah, forward ever, backward never. Till next time, Radio Free Family, one love.
You know we on the spot.